If you have curly hair, one of the biggest struggles is how to smooth it out and make it shiny and keep it healthy. This video is going to give you very specific direction on how to manage it that doesn't take a lot of time and will really ensure that you get the results you're looking for without spending 2 hours to do it. So as you can see, our model has very natural, coarse, curly hair. And so we really wanted to take some time to focus on what is the best way to deal with curly hair. So there's a couple of techniques I'm going to give you as we go on, and I'm also going to give you some information about how to work with your curly hair as you are blow drying it. So the first thing I always recommend is section the hair out. Make sure that the hair you're working with is manageable for you to deal with. So what I say is, for me as the professional, I start at the top of the crown and I go behind the ears. And then because the hair is so coarse and so thick, I want to really wrap that hair out of the way. Like, I'm not even just going to clip it out of the way, I'm going to twist it up and get it completely out of my field so that way I can really focus on each section and blow drying it nice and smooth. So as I continue on, I'm just going to pre-section the front from the back, just twisting it up and then clipping it. And you want to make sure to use good clips that can hold the amount of hair that you're dealing with. I wouldn't suggest you do any pre-drying. If you pre-dry your curly hair, what's going to happen is it's going to start getting really fuzzy and frizzy, and then when you try to smooth it out, you'll get frustrated. And then when you go outside, if there's any humidity, it'll start getting curly again anyway. So from here, I'm just going to work in the back, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a horizontal section. And each section that I take is what's manageable for me to work with. So I want to make sure that whatever you're dealing with, if you have very coarse, dense hair, that you take slightly smaller, finer sections, and that if you have maybe a little less density, you can take larger sections. It depends on how much hair you have. But I want to make sure that whatever you're working with is manageable for you to deal with. And the first thing that I'm going to do is, while the hair is damp, I'm going to do what I call a lock. And you'll notice that I took the brush over top of the hair, I bring the hair into my thumb, I hold it into the handle, and then I blow dry down the hair. Now you'll notice I'm not doing any wrap drying. What I'm doing is I'm focusing from the mid shaft to the root to the ends, and I have all of that space that I can work with between the root and the ends, so that way I'm not going to burn the scalp, and I have all that straight hair because I have that bristle brush where those bristles are very close together and they're tight. So that way as I'm blow drying, you'll notice I have a lot of tension on the hair. I'm pulling that hair down, and then I'm just blow drying all of that hair between the scalp and the ends. And then just to refine those ends, what I'll do is I'll just follow through just by putting the hair in the brush and just smoothing that out. Now the reality is, if I want to cut some of the corners, what I can do is I can do most of the hair like this, and then if I want to finish the ends with a flat iron, I can do that. But the idea here is you want to get your hair as smooth as possible, because what you're setting here is what your hair is going to look like, especially if you don't want to end up blow drying your hair every day. Because the reality is most of the time when we do our hair like this, we want it to last a couple of days. So if you really set it properly from wet to dry, you'll have a more long-lasting blow dry. And that way when you go outside, it won't revert back to its natural curl. And you'll notice I'm doing this taking my time, I'm not rushing through each section, and I need to make sure that as I blow dry, every section is 100% dry. If there is any moisture left over in the hair, that if it's not completely dry, then that wave is going to start to creep back into that hair, and then I'll be frustrated and I'll say, why did I spend all this time blow drying if I don't blow dry it all the way? Another thing I want you to think about is the possibility of not shampooing it all the time. The more you shampoo it, the drier and more fluffy the hair gets. So usually the more dirty the hair, the easier it is to manage. So what I would suggest for you is shampoo it less, but condition it more. So you can condition it every day. Every time you get your hair wet, put conditioner in there, but you don't always have to wash it, because those oils that are from your scalp are essential for keeping your hair small and healthy. The other thing I would also recommend is really understand what products to use. You want to put a product in there that's going to help hold the hair a little bit without making it stiff or sticky, but you also want to put a product like a cream or an emollient-based product or an oil-based product, which really helps shrink that hair down and smooth it so that the hair isn't large and puffy. So once I've completed the back, I'm going to move on to the sides. And what's very important about doing the sides is you want to make sure to clip the back out of the way, so that way it doesn't blend into the sections that I'm blow drying on the sides and the front. So this will help you keep your hair more manageable and easier to work with. And I'm going to work in the same manner, just taking horizontal sections that are manageable enough for me to work with, that I need to make sure that I can deal with the hair that I'm working with. And if it's too much hair and I'm trying to rush through it, I'm going to end up spending a lot more time trying to fix the mistakes, instead of just making sure that if I take the time, it'll actually take me less time to blow dry in the long run. And by the end, if there's any more refinement you want to do, you can just go in there with your brush or a flat iron, or if you want to bevel it a little bit more, you can use a round brush to smooth it out. But these are the quickest ways that you can blow dry your hair and manage your curl and make it healthy and shiny and not spend a lot of time really frustrated.